So, good morning everyone. This is the report of Jermar and Angel Migasco about the chapter 5 on becoming a global teacher. On becoming a global teacher. To become a global teacher, you should be equipped with wide range knowledge and of educational system outside the country. Master skills and competences which can address global demands and possesses attitudes and values that are acceptable to multicultural communities. And last, a global outlook adapt to a local condition or a local outlook adapted to the local condition. As a future teachers, you have to blend both global and local perspective. As a saying goes, think globally but act locally, or think local but act global. You can be a global teacher at the same time a global teacher. If the local perspective based on the culture, tradition, and context are considered as local, act locally. Lesson 1. The global and the local teacher professional. Is there a difference? So, before we start our class, let's know about the learning outcomes before we end this lesson. Describe a global and local teacher. Infer the demand globalization in the country on teachers professional. In this lesson, we will be teaching in the flat, or you or we will be teaching in the flat world or one planet or schoolhouse. These two terms implies global education as a result of the shrinking world due to access in technology. The internet globalizes communication by allowing users from around the world to connect one another. A global and local teacher education. Global education has been described by two definitions. In the UNESCO, global and global teacher education defines global education as a goal to develop countries worldwide and each aimed at educating all people in accordance with the world standards. Another definition is a global education is one curriculum that is international in scope which prepares today's youth around the world to function in one world environment under teachers who are intellectually, professionally, and domestically prepared. UNESCO's Education 2030 Incheon Declaration during World Education Forum established a vision towards inclusive and equitable quality educational lifelong learning for all. SDG for Education is one of the 17 goals of the United Nations SDGs. The 7 of the 10 targets are expected outcomes, while 3 are means of achieving the outcomes. These outcome targets bring together all the member nations to expand beyond their geographical territories for the expansion of global education. There are the 7 outcomes targets of SDG in 2030. 4.1 Universal Primary and Secondary Education. Ensure all girls and boys complete, free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education, leading to the relevant and effective learning outcomes. 2. Early childhood development and universal pre-primary education. Ensure that all boys and girls have access to quality early childhood development, care, and primary education so that they are ready for primary education. 3. Equal access to technical, vocational, and higher education. Ensure equal access for all women and men to affordable and quality technical, vocational, and tertiary education, including university. 4. Relevant skills for decent work. Substantially increase the number of youth and adults who have relevant skills, including technical and vocational skills for employment, decent jobs, and entrepreneurs. 5. Gender equality and inclusion. Eliminate gender disparities in education and ensure equal access to all levels of education and vocational trainings for vulnerable, including persons with disabilities, indigenous peoples, and children in vulnerable situations. 6. Universal youth literacy. Ensure that all youth and substantial proportion of adults, both men and women, achieve literacy and numeracy. 7. Education for sustainable development and global citizenship. To ensure all learners acquire knowledge and skills indeed to promote sustainable development, including, among others, through education for sustainable development and sustainable lifestyle, human rights, gender equality, promote culture of peace and non-violence, global citizenship, and appreciation of global diversity and culture's contribution to sustainable development. To meet the various global challenges of the future, the 21st century learning goals have been established as the basis of various curricula worldwide. These learning goals include 1. 21st century content, emerging content areas such as global awareness, financial, economic, business and entrepreneurial literacy, civic literacy, health and environmental awareness. 2. Learning and thinking skills, critical thinking and problem-solving skills, communication, creativity and innovation, collaboration, contextual learning, information and media literacy. Global education is about diversity, understanding the differences, and teaching the different culture groups in their own context to achieve the goals of global education as presented by the United Nations. A global education provides equal opportunity and access to knowledge and learning tools, which are the basic rights of every child and every community, locality within the global community. Global teacher education addresses the need of the smallest schools to the largest classroom in the world. It responds to borderless education that defy distance, geographical location. Global teacher is a global teacher who is competent and armed with enough skills, appropriate attitude, and universal values to teach learners at home or abroad, but is equipped with both time-tested as well as the modern technology in education in any time, any place in the world. A global teacher is someone who thinks and acts both locally and globally with a worldwide perspective, but is in the teaching communities, localities, towns, provinces, and regions where he or she is situated. A local Filipino is characterized by several qualities and attributes in addition to in-depth knowledge, functioning skills, and embedded values. Local teachers. 1. Understand how this world is interconnected. Recognize that the world has rich variety of ways of life. Have a vision of the future and sees what the future would be himself or herself and the students. Creative and innovative. Understand, respect, and tolerant of the diversity of cultures. Believe and take action for education and will sustain in the future. Facilitate digitally immediate learning. Possesses good communication skills or for Filipino teacher to be multilingual. Aware of international teacher standards and framework, and the last, master the competences of the beginning teacher and the Philippine Professional Standard for Teachers or PPST 2017. Master Plan for Teachers Education 2017. Characteristic and core values of a Filipino teachers. A. Cultural and historical rootedness by building on the culture and the history of the learners and the place. Ability to contextualize teaching learning by using local and indigenous materials, content, and pedagogy, whether appropriate. Excellence in a personal and professional competence, leadership, research, technology, innovation, and creativity. Responsiveness through social involvement and service, learner-centeredness, respect, and sensitivity for diversity and inclusiveness. Accountability and integrity. By being a positive role model with a strong moral character, committed and conscientious, credible, honest, and loyal. Ecological sensitivity. By being resilient and stewards of the environment for sustainability. Nationalism or Philippinism. By being a responsible citizens and upholding the Filipino identity amidst globalization or globalization, and the last, faith with the divine providence by being humane, just, peace-loving, and respectful of human rights. We need the local teacher is on the rise in several countries worldwide. Even developed countries are in dire need to competent teacher who will teach in rural and urban classrooms imbued with the characteristics and attributes of the local teachers. In this lesson, global education is a concept that brings us to understand the connectivity of each member citizens in the planet without leaving behind the local foundation. The advancement of technology shrunk the world to a size that everyone can be reached. Because of this development, we have learned the diversity or differences in cultures in order to address the global standards for education set by the United Nations. Global education requires teachers the skills for the 21st century so that all will be ready to play a significant role to provide educational access to all types of learners all over the world. However, globalization does not leave localization behind. The blending of both concepts, as advanced by Robert Stone 1992, underscores the rootedness and sustainability of education as a part of the vision of Education 2030. Thus, a teacher who is global is also a local teacher, and a local teacher can be also global.